Hola, Cules! Are you ready for an epic recap of what our Barça is doing? Because what Hansi Flick's team has achieved in 2025 has left everyone speechless, especially the neighbors at the Bernabeu, who are still searching for words to explain how FC Barcelona crushed them not once, but multiple times this season. Hold on tight, because it's been a roller coaster of emotions, goals, and moments that make us scream, Visca el Barça, until we lose our voices. And if you're already freaking out over what's happening, subscribe to the channel, because what's coming next is even stronger. We start at the Estadio Olympic Luis Companys, which, though not the Camp Nou, transformed into a Blaugrana fortress where Real Madrid left scorched. The Clásico in May, during the 35th matchday of La Liga, was a masterpiece. Picture the scene, Montjuic vibrating, Cules unfurling a banner that seemed to say, "Here, we're the ones in charge," and a Barça that, despite a tough blow in the Champions League, came out with fire in its belly. Madrid, with its heavy artillery led by Mbappé, thought they'd walk all over us. Monumental mistake. The Blancos started strong, with Kylian Mbappé scoring a penalty at the 5th minute and another stunning goal at the 14th, making it 0-2. But Cules, Flick's Barça doesn't surrender, even if a meteorite were to fall. Eric Garcia, with a header after a poorly defended corner by Valverde, cut the deficit. Then came Rafinha, the Brazilian who seems to have magnets in his boots, scoring a brace before halftime. And when we thought things couldn't get better, Fermin Lopez, on his birthday, unleashed a beauty to make it 4-2. A virtual manita. Madrid tried to react with a third goal from Mbappé, but the 4-3 final was a checkmate that left the merengues reeling and the Liga practically in Blaugrana hands. Now, if you'll allow me a moment of humor, imagine Ancelotti on the bench with that eyebrow that seems to have a life of its own, looking at his players and saying, "Seriously, guys? Another Clásico where we get humiliated." Meanwhile, Flick, with his German sergeant face, organizes the team like he's conducting a symphony orchestra. The press didn't waste time. Mundo Deportivo talked about a Barça that sealed the Liga, and Sport directly posted memes of Madridistas searching for excuses on Google. Because let's be honest, Cules, seeing Madrid end the season without titles is almost as satisfying as a last-minute LAMINE YAMAL goal. But let's rewind a bit, because this isn't the only thrashing Barça has handed to Madrid. In January, during the Spanish Super Cup final in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, the Blaugrana team took off on a magic carpet and delivered a 5-2 to Real Madrid that still echoes in the desert. It started badly with Mbappé opening the scoring in the 7th minute, making Madridistas rub their hands together. But like a Hollywood movie, Barça flipped the script. Lamine Yamal, the 17-year-old who plays with the experience of a veteran, equalized with a stunning goal that left Courtois looking like, "I didn't see that coming." Then Lewandowski converted a penalty after a blunder by Camavinga, and from there, it was a Cules monologue. Rafinha, balled, and Rafinha again completed the manita, while Madrid, with an extra player after Casemiro's expulsion, didn't know where to start the comeback. Marca called it an extraordinary hour for Barça, and AS spoke of 50 historic minutes. Even the Madrid media had to bow. And here's a stat for the number lovers. This 5-2 was Barca's second consecutive thrashing of Madrid after the 0-4 at the Bernabeu in October 2024. Yes, Cules, you read that right, a 0-4 at their place. Lewandowski with a brace and goals from Yamal and Rafinha left Madrid in shock, with Ancelotti admitting the result wasn't fair but unable to explain how his team collapsed. El Pace summed it up perfectly. Barça crushes Real Madrid and exposes all its miseries. And while Cules celebrated, the club's social media posted a viral tweet that said, "No matter when you read this." Translation: Barça is always one step ahead. Now, let's talk about the protagonists, because this Barça isn't just a team, it's a constellation of stars led by a coach who changed the paradigm. Hansi Flick, the Sergeant of Time, as is called him, brought discipline, intensity, and a style of play that burns opponents' feet. His bet on meritocracy is clear. If you're late to a tactical meeting, like what happened to Ronald Araujo, you sit on the bench. If you're in form, like Cengiz Under, you stay in goal even if Ter Stegen is fit. And then there's La Masia, this youth academy that continues to be the envy of world football. Lamine Yamal, at just 17, is already being compared to Messi. His stunning goal in the Super Cup was narrated by Flacker on Cadena SER as a marvel reminiscent of Leo. Imagine that, a kid who can't even drive yet, breaking defenses and making the Bernabeu tremble. And what about Rafinha, the Brazilian who found in Flick his best ally. His 2 goals in the Super Cup and his brace at Montjuic turned him into the terror of opposing defenses. Marca described him as the one who exposed Madrid's flaws, and it's no exaggeration. Every time he touches the ball, it feels like something big is about to happen. Then there's Fermin Lopez, the Canterano who celebrated his birthday with a goal in the Clásico, as if the script were written by a Cule at heart. And let's not forget Alejandro Bald, who's back to his best form, and Pau Cubarsí, who, at 18, is already a defensive wall. Sport put it clearly, Lamine and Rafinha, a ruthless duo. But Cules, it's not all sunshine. Barça has had its setbacks. The Champions League elimination against Inter Milan was a hard blow. At San Siro, with qualification for the final almost in the bag, the Cules collapsed. Flick, in the press conference, admitted the team felt the blow but also assured it made them stronger for the Clásico. And indeed, it did. Plus, injuries have been a headache. Ronald Araujo missed the May match due to a muscle issue, and though Inigo Martinez returned in time after a scare against Inter, the infirmary has been busier than we'd like. Mundo Deportivo highlighted Barca's ability to bounce back. And that's what makes this team special, resilience. So here we are, Cules, hearts racing like we're in the Camp Nou stands waiting for a decisive penalty. The fever for the replayed Clásico isn't dying down, and every corner of Barcelona buzzes with that mix of anxiety, hope, and the touch of humor that defines us. La Liga's decision to replay the match against Real Madrid is like a spark that lit a fire no one knows how to put out, but everyone wants to keep burning. Joan Laporta remains the captain of this ship. The players are ready to give everything, and we, the fans, live every second like it's an eternal match. Let's keep exploring the details of this Blaugrana madness, because there's so much to tell, it's like the ball will never stop rolling. Now, a little aside to laugh a bit. Can you imagine the Madridistas on X, Twitter, searching for memes to console themselves after their 4th consecutive loss to Barça? Because according to Sport, they flooded the internet with jokes, from photoshopped images of Ancelotti with a funeral face to tweets saying Madrid needs a miracle to win anything this season. Meanwhile, Barça, with its Chasing the Future campaign, keeps dropping messages of optimism. On the official website, they're even raffling off the 25-26 season jersey. That's confidence in the future, Cules. Back to the pitch, let's talk tactics. Flick has transformed Barça into a high-pressing, fast-transitioning machine. In the Supercopa, the team exploited Madrid's weak right flank, where Lucas Vázquez and Tchouaméni suffered terribly against Rafinha and Yamal. Marca put it this way, Barça found the rival's weakest sector and crushed it. At Montjuic, history repeated itself, with Bald and Rafinha running riot on the left. And then there's the midfield, where De Jong and Pedri control the tempo like conductors, while Casado and GAVI bring the muscle. AS talked about a Barça that isn't afraid of the Bernabeu ghosts, and it showed at Montjuic too, where the team didn't back down even when trailing 0-2. Madrid, meanwhile, is in crisis. Ancelotti, usually a master at solving problems, looks lost. AS made it clear, Madrid has no system. Mbappé, who arrived as the Great White Hope, was the only one holding his own with 5 goals in the 2 Clásicos, but it wasn't enough. Vinicius, criticized for his attitude at Montjuic, and Rodrigo, who can't find his place, didn't step up. And then there's Tchouaméni, who as a centre-back is a failed experiment and as a midfielder hasn't imposed himself. On X, Madridistas keep demanding changes, and some even say Ancelotti could be on the chopping block. Marca even mentioned the club is already eyeing names like Xabi Alonso for the bench. But Cules, let's not rest on our laurels. Madrid, though wounded, is never truly dead. Sport reminded us that the Blancos have won 3 of the last 5 Clásicos in Barcelona, so we can't underestimate them. Plus, the transfer market is on fire, and Madrid has signed Mastantuono, a young Argentine who's already making waves. In a tweet, the White Club introduced him with a welcome, trying to lift the fan spirits. But come on, Cules, our Lamine Yamal runs circles around him. Speaking of the market, Barça isn't standing still. Marca reported that the club is close to extending De Jong and Lewandowski, who's already training with the team and eyeing the next match against Levante. Plus, La Masia continues to be a goldmine. Flick keeps calling up youngsters like Cubarsí, GAVI, and Fermin, following in the footsteps of Xavi, Luis Enrique, and Guardiola. N Sport made it clear, Barca's youth academy is smiling. And if that doesn't hook you, Cules, hit that subscribe button, because you won't see this on any news channel. Oh, and we can't forget women's football. Though Madrid made history by beating Barca for the first time in the Liga Femenina, 3-1 at Montjuic, the Blaugranas remain queens. El País noted the match was a spectacle, with a disallowed Barca goal sparking controversy, but Jonathan Giraldez's team is already thinking about the Champions League. Because Cules, Barca is more than a club, it's a passion that transcends genders and competitions. In summary, 2025 is a dream year for Barca. 4 consecutive wins against Real Madrid, a Supercopa title, a practically sealed Liga, and a team that blends experience and youth like a grandma's secret recipe. Flick has brought back the excitement, and players like LAMINE, YAMAL, Rafinha, and Fermin make us dream of more magical nights. While Madrid searches for answers, as one fan put it on X, Flick's Barca has a plan, and Madrid doesn't know how to decode it. So Cules, let's keep enjoying this moment, because it's not every day you leave the eternal rival speechless. We're still riding the wave, Cules, with our hearts racing at 1,000 beats per minute for this Barca that keeps giving us joy. The atmosphere at Montjuic is pure fire, like Mount Vesuvius decided to relocate to Barcelona. Real Madrid, still dazed from the 4 slaps we've given them this season, looks like a boxer who doesn't know how to get up from the canvas. But don't worry. Here, we don't let our guard down, because being a Cule means living with your soul in every pass, every goal, and every chant. So if you're vibrating with this Blaugrana passion, subscribe to the channel, because what's coming will leave you speechless. Let's talk about what's happening off the pitch, because Barca isn't just winning matches, it's revolutionizing everything it touches. In the club's offices, Joan Laporta is pulling strings like a chess grandmaster playing against Kasparov. The president, with that charisma that makes him seem like a mix between a politician and a showman, has sealed deals that are turning heads. For example, the new sponsorship deal with Spotify has been extended, and the platform's logo now shines on the jerseys with a design that, according to a club tweet, celebrates the union between music and football. Cules on X keeps sharing photos of the new jersey with gold details that hark back to the golden years of Messi, Ronaldinho, and company. And it's not just aesthetics. The deal includes a project to bring concerts to the Olympic Stadium while the Camp Nou is under renovation. Imagine Rosalia singing at halftime of a Barca Atletico match. That's Cule level, but it's not just music and glamour. Laporta has also had to face criticism over financial management, even though the club has reduced its debt, as reported by El Economista. Some on X, Twitter, still question the summer signings. The arrival of Szczesny, for example, raised eyebrows. A 35-year-old goalkeeper, some said. But the Pole has silenced critics with saves that seem straight out of a video game, especially in that May Clasico, where, despite his red card in the Supercopa, he showed cat-like reflexes. In Sport, a columnist called him the unexpected goalkeeper, and for good reason. His interventions were key to keeping the net untouched in critical moments, like against Inter in the Champions League, where, though we lost, he prevented a thrashing. And speaking of goalkeepers, Ter Stegen's return is making waves. The German, now recovered from injury, trains like he's out to prove the goal is his. Flick, however, isn't committing to anyone. In an interview with Mundo Deportivo, the coach said, "Competition raises the level, and it seems to be working." Szczesny and Ter Stegen push each other in training, and the videos the club posts on Instagram show both making impossible saves, as if competing for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. The Cules, of course, are thrilled. Having 2 world-class goalkeepers is like having 2 aces up your sleeve. And things are on fire. PEDRI, who left his physical problems behind, plays like he has a GPS in his boots. In the last match against Sevilla, he made a 40-meter pass that left Lewandowski one-on-one with the keeper. The goal didn't come by millimeters, but on X, they were already comparing it to Xavi's pinpoint passes in his prime. And then there's GAVI, the Palace Warrior, who runs like he's playing for 3. AS called him Barca's lung, and they're not exaggerating. The guy wins balls, presses like a madman, and even ventures forward with a few shots. At Montjuic against Madrid, GAVI stole a ball from Bellingham that ended in Fermin's goal. The fans stood up, and in the stands, chants of "GAVI, GAVI" echoed all the way to Badalona. But this Barca isn't just about La Masia stars. Flick's signings are paying off. Dani Olmo, who arrived in the summer of 2024, has fit in like he's been at the club forever. His goal against Espanyol, a left-footed strike from the edge of the box, was one of those that make you jump off the couch and scream like you're in the stadium. In Sport, they described him as the magician from Terrassa, and on Kuhl's social media, there are already edits of Olmo wielding a magic wand. And then there's Frenkie de Jong, who, after departure rumors, decided to stay and show why he's one of the best midfielders in the world. In the May Clasico, he made a lightning-fast assist with a ball that seemed drawn with a ruler. A viral tweet summed it up: Frenkie playing football is like watching a Michelin-starred chef prepare a dish. Now, a moment of humor. Have you seen how Madridistas on X try to justify the defeats? There's a meme going around showing Mbappe running alone toward goal, with text saying, "When you realize the rest of the team isn't following you." And the thing is, Kuhl's, Madrid is in a hole that looks like a crater. Bellingham, who last year was the darling of the white press, is now fading. In Marca, they talked about his lack of spark, and at the Bernabeu, you can already hear whistles when he misplaces a pass. Vinicius, meanwhile, seems more concerned with arguing with referees than scoring goals. And don't even get me started on the defense. Alaba, back from an eternal injury, isn't at his level, and Militao looks lost without a leader beside him. In El Confidential, they put it bluntly: Madrid needs a reset. Meanwhile, at Barça, the defense is a fortress. Pau Cubarsí, at just 18, plays like he's 30. In the match against Inter, he nullified Lautaro Martinez like he was a junior. In Mundo Deportivo, they called him Piques Air, and it's no exaggeration. The guy reads the game like few others, and his passing is so clean it's like he's playing in a suit. Beside him, Inigo Martinez brings experience, and though he had a physical scare before the Clasico, his return was a relief. In a club video, he's seen joking with Bald in training, saying, "Basques and Catalans make the best team." And then there's Eric Garcia, who, though not an undisputed starter, always delivers. In the Clasico, his header goal was a psychological blow to Madrid. As if to say, here, even defenders score on you. Let's talk about the fans now, because the Kuhls are on another level. At Montjuic, every match is a party. The mosaics, the chants, the scarves waving in the wind, it's like the essence of the Camp Nou is there. On X, a fan posted a video of the Tifo against Madrid with a message: "We'll always be here." And that's the thing, Kuhls, this team makes us dream. On the club's social media, goal videos go viral in minutes, and the comments are filled with Blaugrana heart emojis and phrases like, "This Barça is insane." Even on TikTok, where the youth reign, Barça dominates with videos of LAMINE YAMAL making dribbles that look like they're from a video game. And if we're talking social media, we can't forget the club's global impact. According to a Forbes report, Barça is the team with the most social media interactions in 2025, surpassing Madrid and Manchester United. Videos of Rafinha and Yamal's goals in the Supercopa have millions of views, and on Instagram, the club's stories showing the Montjuic atmosphere are a magnet for fans. Even in Asia, where European football is a religion, Barça stores sell jerseys like churros. In Sport, they mentioned the club opened a new official store in Tokyo, and the opening day lines looked like those for a BTS concert. But not everything is perfect, and we have to be honest. The defeat against Inter in the Champions League left a bitter taste. At San Siro, Barça dominated the first half, but a mistake by Casado in the second allowed Inter to come back. In El País, an analyst noted that Barça lacked experience in key moments, and Flick, in the press conference, took responsibility, saying the team learned a hard lesson. However, this defeat served as a spark. Before the Clasico, Flick gathered the team, and according to Mundo Deportivo, he gave them a speech that left their eyes wide. The result, the 4-3 at Montjuic, we already know. Tactically, Flick is a revolutionary. His 4-3-3 system, with touches of 4-2-3-1 at key moments, is like a tailor-made suit for this team. In AS, they analyzed how Barça uses high pressing to suffocate opponents, with GAVI and Casado as hunting dogs and PEDRI as the brain connecting everything. In the Clasico, Madrid didn't know how to escape their own half, and Bellingham's passes ended up at the feet of Cubarsí or Martinez. Additionally, Flick has insisted in training on improving fast transitions, something that was evident in Rafinha's goal against Sevilla, where the ball went from their own box to the opponents in less than 10 seconds. N-Sport called it electric football, and Kuhls on X are already talking about Flickby as the new tiki-taka. And we can't overlook Lewandowski. The Pole, nearing 37, remains a killer. His 12 league goals keep him as the top scorer, and in Marca, they defined him as the man who doesn't age. In the Clásico, though he didn't score, his presence forced Madrid to double-mark him, opening spaces for Rafinha and Yamal. In a club video, he's seen giving Fermin tips like an older brother. And speaking of Fermin, what a gem! The Canterano, who started the season as a substitute, has earned his place with goals and grit. In El Confidencial, they compared him to Iniesta for his ability to appear at the right moment, and at Montjuic, he already has his own chant, Fermin, Fermin, El Rey del Golin. Fermin, Fermin, the king of the little goal. Now, a touch of humor for the Cules. On X, a fan posted an edit of Ancelotti with a map, trying to figure out how to beat Barça. And while the Madridistas panic, we're enjoying it. But beware, Madrid won't go down without a fight. In AS, they mentioned that Florentino Perez is preparing a winter market move, with rumors of interest in Holland. Yes, Cules, Holland, but come on, with Cubarsí and Martinez in defense, the Norwegian will hit a wall. And if that hooks you, hit that subscribe button, because what's coming on this channel is pure Blaugrana spectacle. On the horizon, Barça faces big challenges. The Copa del Rey is underway, and the next match against Athletic Club at San Mamés promises to be a battle. In sport, they reminded us that Athletic is always tough, but Flick is already preparing the team with video sessions to study the Williams brothers and company. Additionally, in La Liga, Atlético de Madrid is lurking, and one misstep could complicate things. But Cules, this Barça has something special, a mix of hunger, talent, and pride that makes us believe anything is possible. As Laporta said in an interview with RAC1, this team is writing a new page in our history. And we, from the stands or at home, are part of it. We're still in 2025, Cules, with our hearts racing at 1,000 beats per minute, enjoying a FC Barcelona that seems straight out of a dream. The Blaugrana passion is in every corner of Montjuic, in the streets of Barcelona, and even in WhatsApp chats where Cules keeps sharing videos of LAMINE Yamal's goals and Rafinha's exploits. This team, under Hansi Flick's leadership, isn't just winning matches, it's building a legacy that makes us vibrate like we're back in Guardiola's era. So if you're hallucinating with this Cule fever, subscribe to the channel, because what's coming is pure fire, and you won't want to miss it. Let's start with the locker room atmosphere, because that's where the magic is prepared. Flick has created a dynamic that blends military discipline with a touch of camaraderie reminiscent of Barca's best years. In a leaked Instagram video by one of the team's physios, you see the players during a post-Clásico recovery session, laughing as GAVI tries to convince Cubarsí to let him win in a ping-pong match. But don't be fooled, Cules. Behind these jokes, there's a group that gives its all in every training session. According to Mundo Deportivo, Flick has implemented double sessions on key days, with specific drills to improve pressing after losing the ball, something that destroyed Madrid at Montjuic. In one of these sessions, Pedri and De Jong were filmed practicing passes in tight spaces, moving the ball so quickly it looked like a PlayStation game. And then there's Lewandowski, who at 37 runs sprints like a junior. In sport, they recounted how the Pole stays after training to practice shooting, even joking with the Canteranos, saying, "The goal doesn't understand age." Speaking of Canteranos, La Masia continues to be the heart of the club. Beyond LAMINE Yamal, Fermin Lopez, and Pau Cubarsí, other names are emerging. For example, Marc Guiu, the striker who returned after his stint at Chelsea, is demanding a spot in the first team. In a Copa del Rey match against a Segunda División team, Guiu scored a hat-trick in 20 minutes, and on X, Cules are already calling him the new Masia killer. Then there's Noah Darwich, the German of Iraqi descent whom Flick is refining as a playmaker. In a preseason friendly against a Japanese team, Darwich left a heel pass that brought the crowd to its feet, and in the papers, they compared him to Busquets for his vision. And let's not forget Tony Fernandez, a 16-year-old centre-back already training with the first team. In a sport feature, Flick praised his tactical maturity, and Cules on social media are already dreaming of a Cubarsí-Fernandez duo for the next decade. But it's not just about youth. The veterans are stepping up. Ronald Araujo, despite his disciplinary slip, has returned to being the right back we dream of. In the match against Sevilla, he locked down his flank like a fortress and even ventured forward, giving an assist and scoring with a laser-measured cross. In AS, they highlighted his versatility, and on X, a fan joked that Araujo is the only Uruguayan who doesn't surrender. Then there's Inigo Martinez, who, beyond being a defensive leader, has become the soul of motivational speeches. According to Mundo Deportivo, before the Clásico, Inigo gave a locker room speech that left the youngsters wide-eyed, talking about what it means to wear the Barca crest. And then there's Dani Olmo, who keeps growing. In a match against Valencia, he scored a stunning free kick that recalled Ronaldinho's best moments, and in El País, they described him as the artist Flick needed. Now, a touch of humor for the Cules. On X, a meme is circulating showing Ancelotti with a notebook full of scribbles, trying to figure out how to stop this Barca. Meanwhile, the Madridistas console themselves by saying the referee helped Barca in the Clásico. But come on, Cules. We know the only one who helped Barca was the talent of its players. And speaking of Madrid, its crisis isn't just on the pitch. In Marca, they reported there are internal tensions, with players like Rodrigo demanding more playing time and Tchouaméni frustrated at playing out of position. Even at the Bernabeu, the Ultras have started whistling during recent matches, something we hadn't seen since the Benitez era. In El Confidencial, they talked about a broken locker room, and a viral tweet from a Cule summed it up perfectly. Madrid is so lost, they're even making Mbappé look human. Back to Barca, let's talk about the cultural impact. The club isn't just winning on the pitch, it's also reconquering hearts. In Barcelona, the streets are filled with Blaugrana jerseys, and on Las Ramblas, there isn't a day without tourists taking photos with the Barca crest. In La Vanguardia, they published a report on how the team has revitalized football tourism, with guided tours of the Olympic Stadium selling out. And it's not just in Catalonia. Barca dominates in Latin America. In Mexico, for example, the club organized a kids' camp, and images of hundreds of little ones in Cule jerseys playing on a field in Mexico City went viral. In sport, they highlighted that Barca is the most beloved club in Mexico, and on X, Mexican fans keep asking for a friendly at the Azteca. Tactically, Flick keeps surprising. Beyond the high pressing, he's introduced a rotation system that keeps the team fresh. In a match against Betis, he surprised everyone by bringing Casado on as a playmaker in the second half, and the Canterano responded with an assist to Lewandowski. In AS, they analyzed how Flick uses unexpected tactical changes to destabilize rivals, something we also saw against Madrid when he played Guiu as a false nine to confuse their defense. And then there's the work on set pieces. In Mundo Deportivo, they calculated that 30% of Barca's goals this season come from corners or free kicks, with Eric Garcia and Cubarsí as deadly headers. During an open training session, the Cules cheered wildly when Cubarsí scored a header from a corner drill, and on TikTok, the video already has millions of views. And speaking of social media, Barca dominates the digital world. The club's communication department, led by a young and creative team, has turned its platforms into a spectacle. Every goal is accompanied by an epic montage with background music that feels like it's from a Marvel movie. On Instagram, the club's stories showing players arriving at the stadium are a fan magnet, and the Barca crest filters are a hit among younger fans. In Forbes, they calculated that the club has gained 10 million new followers in 2025, and on X, the hashtags #ViscalBarca and #FlickBuy are always among the most used. Even on Twitch, Barca opened a channel where players go live playing FIFA, and watching LAMINE YAMAL beat GAVI in a virtual Clásico is so funny that Cules in the comments keep asking for more. But it's not all celebration. The pressure on Flick is enormous. Though the German has won the hearts of fans, in El País, they noted that some club members worry about the lack of a European title. The defeat against Inter in the Champions League stung. And though the team bounced back with the Clásico, some say Flick needs a big trophy to solidify his position. In an interview with RAC1, the coach was clear, "Pressure doesn't worry me, it motivates me." And the players back him up. In a club video, Rafinha said, "Flick is the boss we all want," and Pedri added that, "He makes us feel like we can beat anyone." That mentality is what's driving Barca in La Liga, with a 7-point lead over Atletico and 12 over Madrid. On the horizon, challenges abound. Beyond the athletic match in the Copa del Rey, Barca faces Villarreal in La Liga, a team that always complicates things with its high pressing and speed. In sport, they reminded us that Villarreal drew with Barca last season, so Flick is already working on a plan to neutralize their attackers. And then there's the Champions League, where the team needs an epic comeback to qualify for the final. In Mundo Deportivo, they published an optimistic analysis saying that with Yamal and Rafinha in form, Barça can dream big. And Kules, of course, we dream. On X, a fan wrote, "If this Barça wins the Champions League, I'm getting the crest tattooed on my chest." And he's not the only one. The Blaugrana fever is at its peak. A moment to laugh a little. On TikTok, a video of a Kule dancing in a Rafinha jersey while Sweet Caroline plays went viral with the caption, "When Barça scores 4 against Madrid." And that's the thing, Kules, this team makes us dance with joy. But let's not get complacent. Football is unpredictable. Madrid, though in crisis, has players like Mbappe who can change a game in a second. In AS, they mentioned that Ancelotti is trying a new system with 3 centre-backs to stop teams like Barça. So the next Clásico, if it happens, will be a tactical war. But come on, with Flick at the helm and Yamal on the pitch, Kules, we're calm. And speaking of Yamal, this guy is a global phenomenon. In The Guardian, they published a feature calling him the future of world football. In a match against Mallorca, he treated us to a dribble that left 2 defenders on the ground, and the video has so many views that even NASA must be watching it. In Sport, they reported that Nike is preparing a global campaign with Yamal as the star, and on X, Kules are already demanding he gets the Ballon d'Or. And it's no wonder. At 17, he's breaking records, scoring goals, and delivering assists like it's the most normal thing in the world. During an Instagram live, Yamal joked, "I train so I don't run out of battery," and the Kules in the comments filled it with fire emojis. In summary, Kules, this Barça is a machine that doesn't stop. Between Yamal's magic, GAVI's grit, Lewandowski's experience, and Flick's brain, we're living a historic moment. The streets of Barcelona breathe football, social media burns with Blaugrana passion, and Montjuic is a volcano erupting. And if this makes your heart race at 1,000 beats per minute, hit that subscribe button, because this channel will keep bringing you everything that makes Barça great. Because as Cruyff said, go out and enjoy, and this team makes us enjoy like never before.